Welcome to BizTech's Health and Wellness Show. Our guest for today is Eirik Pettersen. He's the Sartorius Head of Lab Product Solutions Head for the Asia Pacific region. Sartorius AG is an international pharmaceutical and laboratory equipment supplier covering segments in the bioprocess solutions and lab products and services. Now, with life sciences and biopharma sectors really thriving in Asia, the region has now become a hotspot for advancements and opportunities. Now, Eirik is going to share with us some valuable insights into the driving forces behind this industry expansion and shed light on how the company has taken steps to support and nurture this development. Now, he's also going to be talking about the company's initiatives and partnerships and solutions in the region. Now, with that, Eirik, welcome to the show.
All right, nice to be here.
Now, Eirik, for a start, could you give us an overview of your products and services and really how customers use them to innovate?
So Sartorius, we're an old company and we cover a lot of solutions, and we've been linked to the development of the pharmaceutical industry throughout our whole history. So the pharma companies use our products when they develop and when they manufacture and when they do the quality control of their products. So, but over the last several years, the biopharmaceutical industry and the cell therapy and all the new solutions that is incoming is presenting new opportunities and also new challenges in that research, in that manufacturing, in the quality control. And that's where Sartorius plays a quite important role in the manufacture of these products. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, please.
Yeah. No. And when you look for pharmaceutical companies or biopharma companies, when they work through for therapies, it takes a very, very, very long time to go through this research process, and it's filled with a high rate of failure. So you spend a long time to develop, you spend a lot of money, you have a lot of people working in research, and what we do is that we offer a lot of solutions that are based on how to make that faster, so that those products can make it into the market much earlier, so that the research can go smoother, the solutions can be developed, and the mistakes can be handled out earlier, and we can be faster to the market for pharmaceutical companies. That's primarily what we do on the R&D side. Huh?
And given one of the key trends that's also happened in the last decade or so is really the growth of life sciences and biopharma research in Southeast Asia, the hub obviously being Singapore. Can you give us an inkling of how you've actually contributed and taken advantage of that growth, particularly at Singapore being the hub that it is?
Yeah, so that's we see that there's an incredibly amount of fast-moving companies coming into the market at the moment. Yeah, but the overall trend, the overall reason for this, of course, is that we have a large population in Southeast Asia. The population is getting a little bit older. The population also getting a little bit more wealthier. It's also getting more informed at all times. So you have all these positive factors coming in, and also you have with a more recent development, let's say with COVID and with vaccines, people also want to be a little bit more self-reliant. Yeah, they want to have their own knowledge base in this. So in this field. So when all of these things come together, then what is happening is that there is a shift into where local research, where local manufacturing is becoming increasingly important. Now, Singapore then is in a certain way is where these resources meet, right? So in the universities, you will find from the whole Southeast Asia region, you will find people that are from all the nations that are meeting here. And when we reach out to professors or even the research students, that community that we built, we can see those people going back again into and becoming key players in the other regions or the other nations outside of Singapore. So Singapore is like a hub where where the talent and the ideas and the research meets, And it's also a place where the research is then disseminated out into the other countries around. So that's for us, it's a key place. Very easy to do business, very easy to meet, very easy to talk with people here, and then make sure that our what we want to say and what we're working with is reaching out into the local markets. Yeah.
And that is the reason then probably that you set up your regional headquarters in Singapore last year.
Yeah, that's it. So we thought, okay, well, we need to be a little bit more. We need to build something which is a little bit more, let's say, snazzy or a little bit more interesting. And we need to have a place where all the talent and where all the customers can be together. And that's then Singapore is the natural choice for this.
Eirik, one of the key things, and you talked about some of these key trends around aging population and so forth. Another key trend is really targeted therapies, isn't it? And is that also where Asia is playing more of a role from an R&D standpoint?
I think so. So the idea for us then, we come from, let's say, large scale non-targeted applications. That's where we sort of started out. So that's what's the world for a very long time. And what we do then is that we've scaled down what we do on a large scale into fitting more into one by one targeted therapies, basically, and it becomes targeted to the patient, basically. That's the core fundamentals. So everything gets smaller. It's the same technologies, but just smaller and just more focused. And here it's a question about looking at opportunities and taking a little bit of a risk and going forward. And there we find that the appetite for actually doing that in Asia and in Southeast Asia is quite high. Yeah, people are very they're very interested in the latest technologies. There's a lot of young researchers that are not hindered by history or the past, but go straight into focusing on the latest, on the core technologies. And that's where we actually see that for Asia, for Southeast Asia, for APAC, we're moving forward with a lot of innovative solutions. And these solutions would be different for country, depending on that demographic need which is there, right? So if a country like, let's say, Vietnam has a very strong focus on, okay, we're going to build a strong focus on building a family. Well, then reproductive care is, super important there, and they're building up some companies that are actually then becoming leaders in the Southeast Asia region. Yeah? So out of the Vietnam, which we traditionally don't associate with that kind of leading research, but these guys are actually then, fully on as leaders in that industry, and then we see things like that popping up around the region. It's very, very interesting. Yeah?
So you'll have pockets, as you said, pockets because of localized needs. So if we use, for example, Japan, which has an aging and declining population, is that a case also where there's a lot of research that's going into that particular field versus, say, India, which is a large but young population of just 20, I think the average age is like 28 or something like that.
Yeah, Brian, there's significantly more research into things like dementia or Alzheimer's or other things that are related to, and also cancer, that are much more related to an aging population in Japan and in Korea than what is going on in the more younger population areas. When I mentioned, for example, reproductive health, that's important, right? So and we do see a lot of interesting things happening. Japan, from my perspective, also happens a lot, or there's a lot of research going on in regenerative medicine, even also on eye care, right? So you're thinking about like really high tech things that I think follows true with a long-term tradition of being very focused on optical products in Japan, and that's then those players like big players in eye care. They're then going into research that are on regenerative medicine for that segment, but then aging and generally old age population research happens in Japan and Korea. but of course, totally different solutions and different needs in other markets. So it's diverse, but inside that diversity pops up, things that are very, very interesting on a local level, on a regional level, and also on a global level. So that's basically where we're at.
And that's fascinating, Eirik, because then that brings to the question also, or the issue which you just touched on briefly earlier around talent, because there will be a war for all this talent across the region as more and more research is being done. How is the industry and how are the stakeholders coping with this?
Oh, the amount of time and effort that we put in on finding and getting talent to join to us it fills quite a large part of our day-to-day business. That's our day-to-day life. Yeah? So we have to be attractive. We have to find a place where we can get that talent in to be with us. And so there's a huge competition for talent among, let's say, the local up-and-coming companies, the multinationals, and everybody wants to be, let's say, the one who is the most attractive place to work. And what we do see is that this enormous amount of diversity really comes to our benefit. So we have then we seek actively to fill our offices with as much as nationalities as we can, with people are from different places or people that are, let's say, a good mix of all the demographics to put that into place. So we get that spark and that day-to-day dialogue where we really are fast and open and moving forward. Yeah. So, but the war for talent is definitely there. Right?
But that also then has a challenge now, and I can see how diversity is going to help you in your R&D and stuff. But one of the key things is also then blending the experience of the West with the young researchers that you talked about, and getting, since they're so in tune to adopting the latest technology, gelling these sort of teams together to make them work in the right direction is probably an organizational challenge.
It is an organizational challenge. So we're a very, very old German company. It's like a 150-year-old German company, and but I do think that maybe like say 10 or 12 years back, we realized that we were not coming from a cultural background that was going to give us that kind of global reach that we wanted and that kind of culture that we wanted. So we've been spending a lot of time to sort of like keep the good things that we have of the companies, the values that we have, and the good technologies and solutions that we have, but then make sure that we learn what's going on a global level. And we have leaders throughout the company that are very, very, very multinational. And what we're doing then is to try to build these connections together, that people are actually, really, really working together and respecting each other and understanding each other. It's not easy, but it's there.
And one of the fundamentals of this then collaboration is really industry collaboration with academia. Could you share some insights into the universities and all that you're partnering with in Southeast Asia and the rest of the Asia Pacific region, and what sort of research you're doing with them?
Yeah, so we when somebody interfaces with our company, they might think, okay, well, you're working primarily with the biopharma companies, and you're working with the biopharma companies from, let's say, a manufacturing perspective, or also from the research perspective. But in reality, close to half of what we do is focused on academia. So, and that means that specifically we're providing products and services into academia to do that research, which the core research that then turns into solutions for healthcare for the population. When we partner with academia, then it's a little bit different than when you partner with industry. With partner with academia, it's a much more open discussion. It's a much more sort of, we're the curiosity, the drive. Yes, funding might be an issue, but the curiosity, the drive is there to really sort of like, hey, I want to learn about something. And our products gets the most amount of challenge in academia. they are experimenting with our products, and they're really going at the edge of the science. And I like to say, when I'm recruiting, is that our customers, they win Nobel Prizes. Yeah? And we can point specifically to that. And of course, this doesn't happen without a very, very open dialogue and really pushing to the limits of what you can do with our process solutions. Yeah? So that's a very, very interesting environment. You have also maybe a little bit more respected or senior professors, but you have a whole range of young and very, very, very motivated and very, very kind of a little bit pushy researchers that are coming up, and they're asking us questions all the time. So it's great. It's a great environment. Keeps us all challenged and young.
Now, you're obviously very enthused by this. Could you share some really exciting initiatives and developments in the horizon that we should be watching out for from the company?
So we're trying to do a mix of things. So because we want to make sure that everything we do is part of one story. And what we're looking for is all the way from the beginning of the research, so like really core research, and then we need to make sure that this is actually then going from research into something that can be made. Yeah, that we actually that you can actually produce this. So what we do is that we do research, we do process development, and then we provide manufacturing solutions. So for us, and this is a little bit maybe the boring part, but that we have to make sure that all these steps are linked together. And when we are developing, we're addressing gaps in our portfolio, so to speak. So we make acquisitions that make sure that the story goes through the whole way through, and then also that all these, we spend a lot of time on software solutions, right? We spend a lot of time on data, and we also make sure that all these what you're doing here at the beginning of the research can be used throughout, that what's going on throughout, and that all the data is there, addressable and talking together. So big data, you go and open up one of our machines and it says free space 25 terabytes. That's wow. Yes, because we do have to capture. You have to capture a lot of information, and that's sort of that's the development that we're working on. If you want to talk about like therapies and you want to talk about like what's going on in the world, there's a lot of, let's say, competing ideas and competing technologies. And I think that out of that competition will come some key developments into sorting out some of the main challenges that we have, and things like will people be able to cure HIV or AIDS? Would that come? Things like that. Things that are difficult to sort out, and that's where I think a lot of these competing ideas is coming true. Our job is then to be there for those ideas, and to then make sure that it can be become concrete, that you can actually find an answer to what you're working on.
It's been a fascinating conversation, Eirik. I really learned a lot. But before we leave, any final thoughts you'd like to leave the audience with?
Incredible amount of optimism around the development. Generally speaking, on healthcare, I mean, we make leaps and bounds. Like we make improvements all the time, and I do think that for the APAC region or for the Southeast Asia region, there will be some key developments that's going to help the whole population just to be more healthy, live longer lives, and just enjoy themselves more going through this. And that's something we see every single day, and it leaves me an enormous amount of optimism towards the next step, right? That's something.
Eirik, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
We've been speaking to Eirik Pettersen. He's Sartorius Head of Lab Product Solutions for the Asia Pacific region. I'm Brian Fernandez, and you've been watching and listening to BizTech's Health and Wellness Show. This interview will be on our website, www.biztech.asia, as well as our syndication partners, TV stations, radio stations, and websites. Thanks a lot for tuning in.